Hello, thanks for dropping in. Today I'm going to talk a little about the World of Commodore. Let me just slip in here. Oh, it's Monday. I'm still kind of tired. And I didn't stay at the Admiral Inn. I would have, but for whatever reason, they did not think that the people of the conference were worthy of any discount at the hotel for staying there. So I thought, I will drive back and forth. So I'm just taking things out of my pocket. And perhaps I will turn this off for a moment as I try and sum up the show. Which, of course, there'll always be more things I remember because, you see, I went there. Last time I set up a table to try and fix things. I didn't have time to sort of get that figured this time. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. No signal. Hello, disk drive, yes. Let's load something. Just so it isn't sitting here with an unreadable blue screen. What do we got here? Oh, fine. We'll load this. Anyway, so I got to the show on Saturday just around 10 o'clock. And I did walk in with a Walmart shopping bag. A big fabric one. Great big. And I headed for the deal table, which is where people just bring things that they just don't want anymore. Now, keep in mind, I was trying not to get anything because I have too much stuff. But there are times. You might, yes. There are times when I just can't resist. So anyway, I believe sitting on the deal table, I'm pretty sure what I saw quickly were 3 rather depleted Commodore 64 circuit boards. And I thought about it for about a second and a half and said, well, I gotta take them. Because you never know. Parts are good. Parts are good. They are. Even though you might think I'm crazy. But I just had to. So, and there was a few other little things. I don't remember anything specifically. Although later in the weekend, I did grab, there was a whole lot of RAM sticks. And I don't think they were anything to do with the Amiga. And I don't know. I have no clue what they're for. But they were like those circuit boards that are like this long. And they've got an edge connector. And they go into something somewhere. And I'm sure at some point they were valuable and expensive. And probably now they're mostly worthless. But I do know a couple of people who were still into the retro and vintage IBM things and other things who may be able to figure this out. One of them is Rudy of Rudy's Retro Intel. The other is my brother, who gathers things and tinkers on things. So I'll let them have a look through them and decide if there's anything worthy of keeping or sending to some e-waste recycler. We will see. I mean, yes, you might think I'm crazy. And I really tried not to get things. There was a fellow there selling some stuff, and it was at a pretty good price. And I did contemplate many times this one particular 64, which I didn't get, which I thought another fellow I knew was going to get, but somehow it didn't work out. I don't know. Anyway, the World of Commodore is a great place to show things that you're tinkering on. And it's not a terrible place to try and sell things. But you see, it's sort of trying like to sell religion to the religious, and that most people have a lot of stuff. Some people do not. Some people come and they're brand new off the boat, as they say. There was one fellow who I know that he had bought his first pet this week, and he's a student at a prestigious university, and he also had a 64 that wasn't well, which he showed up on Sunday with it, and many people huddled around to try and help him get it fixed. But I do believe it was deemed to be pretty horribly sick, although I think they were able to figure out for sure what chips that he had in that 64 were okay as opposed to not okay. And I think he probably should have bought some of the other wayward machines around and used his for parts, because people are thinking that maybe it was zapped by a higher than normal voltage through a power supply that was perhaps hot, I think. Anyway, so he was an interesting character. There's so many interesting people there. I met a fellow who is originally from Mexico, now lives in Florida, and he was quite charming. He and I spent quite a long time sitting and talking with David Pleasance, and David Pleasance is quite a character. He's sort of he reminds me somewhat of Jim Butterfield, but not in terms of the knowledge of computers, because he himself will tell you, he probably was responsible for selling millions of Commodore computers, but he never turned one on. He didn't need. He said he was in the business of selling dreams. And if you watch the video from TPUG now, speaking of that, I think maybe the sound quality for people online was not great. And I did not bring my little microphone. There it is. And actually, I was thinking of recording some stuff there, but I didn't. But maybe I should. But I just got so busy talking to people, because it just seemed as soon as I was done talking to somebody else would come up and we were talking about things. So there wasn't really a sound system, and there wasn't really any amplification of anything. So I did hear, I think at the dinner on Saturday, which was at Swiss Chalet, that maybe the sound quality was pretty awful on the online offerings, and that is too bad. Maybe there are recordings that were not sent to the online world that will have better sound, I hope. Note to self and note to organizers for next year. Got to do better at that. Like, even if it means one of these little microphones, which, that right now there's a little receiver thing on. I'm using not my phone today, but my iPad that I've used for a long time, and the microphone is here. It means that the sound should be good. And if I peek at it gently, I see that the little green light is lit up. Now, I don't know for how long the battery in this thing lasts. Certainly doesn't take long to charge, but maybe something like this would be beneficial, possibly. But once again, I don't know, and I don't know the attendance figures, but it did seem to be well attended, certainly more so the beginning part of Saturday, and well into the afternoon. Like, there was a presentation when David Pleasance did his presentation. It was packed, so I'm sure the main sort of mingling room was rather more empty. And I was talking to somebody and I wanted to get in there, and I was lucky to get a seat. Anyway, there was also, there were guys from Timmins who drove for 8 hours to get there. On Sunday, I met up with a guy who was from Quebec, and he had got up at 3 in the morning in order to get to the show on Sunday by 10 a.m., and I guess he did. There's also a filmmaker fellow. I have his card here. Hang on. No, that's not his card. I had his card. That's not his card. Oh, that's his card. Yes. Was a filmmaker, and he wants to do a movie called I Adore My 64. which he has already started on. But we'll probably need help, and I think he's going to be launching a Kickstarter event to try and make sure they have the financing in place to get this done. So it's I Adore My 64, an upcoming film by not Jim, I'm still tired, Jeff, even though it's in front of me, I can't read it. I probably have the pronunciation wrong, but Shaps, Schaap, from collectors to product developers, video game and software designers. This film will feature the amazing community that continues to keep the Commodore 64's legacy alive. It's a love letter to an incredibly influential piece of technology that was decades ahead of its time. Oh, look at that. I adore my 64. Beautiful. Anyway, there is a Facebook. You go to facebook.com/I adore my 64. You can find it. Or there's a website, IadorMy64film.com. And if you want to write to this fine fellow, IadorMy64@gmail.com. Anyway, this was an interesting presentation, and as was David Pleasance. Now, let me just give me a moment here. The other thing is, I pondered this for a while. I gotta find one here. I did get a fresh I Adore My 64 button. Actually, I got 5 of them. And they came from a place called Signals from Space. And Josh Richmond is the man. Josh at signalsfromspace.ca. And he had buttons and stickers and also like cookie cutters of all sorts of retro stuff, including Commodore logos and things and stuff and cool things for sale. And it's funny, I didn't say anything to him, and I thought of it, but the reason I pondered more than I probably should have whether I should get any of these is because the I Adore My is very nice and very bright, but the 64, although it is probably accurate in terms of its coloring and such to the original buttons, which these are smaller than the original buttons, the colors are kind of weak. So that's why I was like, well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. But of course, eventually, I did get 5 of them. So, but anyway, from what I know, he'll be there next year. He was there, I think, last year. I don't know if he had the buttons. So, signalsfromspace.ca. www.signalsfromspace.ca. Does it say anything on the back? Not really. Just Josh Richmond. Anyway, so I think he did all right. Also I also got a diagnostic cartridge from, my mind escapes me. It's the guys who brought David Pleasance over. Retro Rewind, maybe? Anyway, I'll look it up. I'll do another video. I'll talk more about it. And I'll test out the diagnostic cartridge. I shall. Anyway, I talked to so many people. Some that I knew, some that I did not know, some that had seen me online, some that had not. There did seem to be a lot of people interested in when it is that I will start to reduce the pet collection. And my answer was, of course, always the same. Well, I got to excavate the 7 pets from the garage and do the final family portrait. And then start to assess and fix and sort and resolve and see what's what. And then, yes, I think I mentioned this before. I thought there were 30, and then my son said, no, there's 31. And he was right, and then there were 7 more. So there's 38. But I think that's it. I really do. And, of course, I'm doing everything I can not to get any more. But, if I was at the World of Commodore and someone came up and said, hey, here's a pet, do you want it? I would have said, I can't do this. But I would have taken it. Or even, someone at a reasonable price, I would have. But I'm trying not to get more things, which of course is why I, of course, try not to get more things. It doesn't always go well. It does not always go well. Because things happen. Like on the last day, and it was late in the day, but I didn't stay right to the end. I was getting tired, and there was a couple of big demonstrations going on. One about something called meatloaf, and I'm not sure what the other one was, but anyway, it was just like, okay, I gotta go. But there was a fellow there, and he'd been selling a bunch of stuff, and I had pondered some of his other stuff. But earlier on, he was selling 1541's that I don't even think he'd had much of a chance to look at, that he was selling for $20 each. And I was pondering. There was one, it was actually, I wish I'd got it. It had a nice case. It would have been great for this. But anyway, I got talking to somebody, and poof, it was gone. So I was like, whatever. Anyway, I have enough 1541's. But anyway, round about, I don't know, maybe 3:30 or so on the last day of a 2-day event, when he had these 9 1541's left. And one of them was just an empty case, and there were notes on them. Some of them have circuit boards, and some of them don't, and this, just kind of rough idea of what's what. So they will be Project Doll, I'm sure. He was trying somewhat desperately, to find homes for them. And the guy from Retro Rerun was like, no. I think he said they had like 90 at their store, and they were like, no. Anyway, so I foolishly said, well, what do you want for them all? And this is where things go poorly. He suggested the grand sum of $20 for all 9 of them would be fine. So of course, I got them. So yes, I was trying to do very well at not getting things. Mind you, you know what? A dear friend of mine who is getting on had he wasn't coming to the show, but he did stop by with his charming wife in the parking lot, and they did pass along to me a number of things, lots of books and things and stuff, as well as an Amiga 2000, which I have not looked at, and Amiga 4000 that I have not looked at. Now, are the batteries out of them? I don't know. Is there a chance they'll work? Maybe. Is there a chance they're for parts? Maybe. But anyway, he's just at the point where it's like, gotta get it out of here. So even though I wasn't planning on getting anything at all, as always, it doesn't go well. But then, of course, it does go well. Anyway, so I got, over the course of the weekend, I got the stuff that he left with me, and I still have to bring most of it in. There were the 3 dead, I assume dead, Commodore 64 circuit boards, which would be good for parts. 9 1541's in various states, everything from probably complete but needs attention to just a case, and even that case wasn't that pretty. That may be something that next year, and I should do this, I should really start to put together a box or 2 or 3 or 10 of stuff to take to the freebie table. And then there was a 64 that the same fellow with the disk drive still had. It was in a 64C case, badly yellowed, but not, atrociously yellowed. And apparently, it did not have the little board with the Super PLA. It had the later, but not the latest, with the heat, not the shielding with all the fingers that go down. Kind of actually very much like this one. It's just it was in a 64. Oh, well, kind of like this one. It was in a 64C case, and it worked, but apparently it was missing, I think, the VIC, the PLA, and the SID. And he was asking, I don't remember what exactly, but we came to an agreement that he would take 20. So it's like, well, yeah, that's probably worth it. Anyway, so I had done that deal when there was another fellow, and he had brought some 64s in, and they got most of them working, and they got both of them were PLA troubles, and he got the replacement PLAs from the Retro Rewind guys. So we had two of them working, but the other one they really didn't have a chance to look at. And it's an original old board, and most everything's in sockets, although there's no power switch, so it's just been soldered on. And I don't think they had a chance to look at it. And I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Why was I interested? Well, first of all, it's an old original one. Also, all the chips are there, but also most every chip is in a socket. Not quite every chip, but most, including all the RAM and all the major chips. And there's just some of the support chips that are not. And I wonder, do I have that here? Oh, I do. Oh, another video. I'll do a close-up on it. Anyway, so, but he was interested in fixing that and taking it home, making it work. I said, okay, cool. See you next year. But then he was interested in the 64C that I just bought. So anyway, we traded. So now I have the older thing that doesn't work. And I don't know what's wrong, but everything's in sockets, including RAM chips and things, which is always good to have these boards and things. Assuming I can get it to the point where it's working. Otherwise, I'll harvest things, and who knows, maybe it's completely dead. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it is also something that eventually parts of it will end up back on the freebie table next year. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just trying to think of other things. Like, I don't know what they did on Friday night because I wasn't there, but I think that, there is a gathering. I don't know if it's at the Swiss Chalet, but certainly the Swiss Chalet gathering was fun. Although, that one big long table, so basically you talk to the people near you, and I was lucky enough to be sitting near the fellow from Florida and his wife, and David Pleasance was across the table, and another fellow, and basically we're surrounded by people. I don't remember their names, but it was an interesting group to sit with, and we had a good time. And yes, Friday night, you know what? I'm sure for the people who stayed there, there was a lot more stuff that went on. And as I said, you know what? I will see about if there's any way for us to get a member for the conference discount. Maybe if people book far enough in advance, or I don't know. Anyway, I'll see. Because it would be nice to just be able to hang out through Friday night or Saturday night or both, just to see what, and just hang out. And because it is, a lot of it is about the people. I mean, the 64s are, as David Pleasant said, just plastic with keys on it. But it is about the people, the stories, the connections. And indeed, maybe some of the people I met over the weekend, maybe some of my pet collection will end up being sold to them. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, for a description of the show, basically there's one fairly large room that has a whole lot of tables, and people bring some of the things they're working on, the things they want to show off, and other such, just here's what I got. And other people are trying to lighten their collections, and it was interesting because I wish I had kind of brought more stuff and I could have helped with fixing. But it was interesting just to see when this young fellow, who's obviously from the next generation, who will keep the spirit of Commodore alive long past we're gone, how people, there was 5 or 6 or more people all huddled around as he was trying to get his 64 up and going. So, which of course I think didn't work out, but certainly he knows a lot more than he does, and certainly the community came together to say, hey, let's see what we can do here. So, yeah, it was good. And for those who might have tried to tune in online, I'm sorry, it may not have been so good, and that's too bad. That is too bad. But I'm sure, it's funny, you would think the lessons would have already been learned. But life is full of never-ending opportunities to learn. So I would suspect next year there'll be better sound. I would think. Speaking of which, let's see. I think I'm going to talk some more, but I think maybe I'm going to look for a song. to finish up on here. Um, hmm. Well, it's kind of Christmassy. So maybe I'll just crank up some silver bells. And we can be on our way. But there will be more videos as I look at things, and I do have to work on things, fix things, resolve things, and then, yes, send them along to others. Because I know now that indeed I have, from what I can tell and everything I found, 38 different not all different, but 38 pets. Only one 8296 for the smooth thing. No B machines. I forgot about all that. And there's chiclet ones with the cassettes, and then there's small screen and large screen, and lots of super pets that don't have the super pet boards, and that, from what I remember, mostly don't work. And the old BBS pet we used to use, and I mean, tons. And then, of course, people say, well, how many 64s do you have? And, of course, the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I have sold some over the years, but I don't know. I have no clue. And how many 5041's? I don't know. And it's funny because I don't like them, but I can't get away from them. And, not so many printers. I don't like printers. I don't. I mean, they're very necessary and all, but I mean, there's some. I don't know how many once again, but I do have to figure this all out. Anyway, but what I need to do, as I keep saying, is, and somebody very wise I knew from my work life said, close the deal. In other words, like say with a 64 here, and now I got to remember which one this is, even though I just did a thing the other day. Got to figure out what's what. And, oh yeah, this was mostly not socketed. Oh yes, I remember. And it's dirty inside, but I believe it works. But it has some signs of filth, which I would like to deal with before they cause trouble. Anyway, but really what I have to do is gather, figure, sort, and decide. And here is always the complex issue of it all is, right now, of course, still, SID chips are expensive. And I can't see selling a 64 in total for less than what the SID chip could sell for. And there are people out there who want the original working SID chips. There are. So, do I sell chips? Do I sell machines? What do I do? Good question. I don't know yet. Maybe a combination of both. Maybe. And of course, people like them to be pretty. Especially if they're going to put them on display. If they're just going to be using them and they have other pretty ones that they don't want to use, then maybe not. Anyway, we'll see. I have to sort all this out and come up with a formula or a plan and stick to the plan. Whatever that is. But little by little, they got to go. But right now, of course, there's so many things I have to do that then I get kind of overwhelmed and I don't do any of them well. And one of the things is I've got to kind of resolve some stuff in this room, which is the box room, so I can get things better stored in here so they're not here and there and everywhere. That is the plan. But also, I've got to get the 7 pets out of the garage so I can get that done so I can get on with that. But the main thing is, what I really got to do is, of course, just do something. Maybe I need to set aside a specific day of the week for specific things and stick to them. Whatever it is. Today, the day after the World of Commodore, and I'm still kind of tired, I think I will do some stories of what happened at the World of Commodore. Oh, and I was just thinking, right, Thursday. Oh, Thursday. Do some stories about that, and maybe try and figure out how to shoot some close-ups of some of the things, so I can do some short things and some longer things. Anyway, assuming the World of Commodore is happening in 2023, it is the first weekend in December. The Admiral Inn in Mississauga, which is very close to Toronto, just off the QEW, which is the Queen Elizabeth Way. I don't see them renaming that, though, now that the Queen is no longer with us. I think it will remain that. Anyway, so, yes, I need to get a plan, stick to the plan, and get things done. I do. I do indeed. But for the moment, thanks for being here. Stay tuned. And I'm sure I will come up with more World of Commodore stories, and I hope other people who were there will comment on this and perhaps remind me of things that I've forgotten, because I know there are many things that I saw that they will come back to me. They will. So, I think I shall rise. But before I do that, I will say thank you very much for coming. Bye for now. Stay tuned. And keep your stick on the ice. All that. And we will see you again soon. Very soon. Because part of what will help me get things done is if I get things done and record them. And if I do that, then you will see the results. Because as I've told many people, you know what? I pretty much just record what I'd be doing anyway. And that is the truth. So, but I got to do it to record it. So I got to record it to do it. Goes together. So, thanks for coming. Also, funny, there was a couple I bumped into there. And he reminded me much of an old T-Pug fellow I know who had a very long, curly mustache. And I don't know how you do that, but anyway, he did it very well. And he and a companion were there, and they were there pretty much all of Saturday, and they seemed to find things they were interested in and get things, and we talked some, and I know that they said that they had seen me online, so I should remember your name right now. I don't, but hi, thanks for checking in. Maybe we'll see you next year at the World of Commodore. So now I will rise, and say once again, thank you for being here. We will meet again. Until that time, bye for now.